What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, a little something new I want to start doing at the beginning of the streams. I am going to play this little cut up in the background that I made, if it'll work. So, today, before we hop in the draft, we're going to talk about Tyler Shough. And then I'm going to show one of my drafts from my last stream. Yeah, kind of tie in with today, what I'm talking about. So, one thing I like about him for best ball, as a quarterback you can take late in the draft. I think Olave is undervalued right now. He's got other guys like Shaheed. If you notice, some of these clips I put in here are clips of him throwing the deep pass with some touch. I think he's got a pretty good deep ball. He's a rough prospect. I'm not expecting him to come in and, take the league by storm or anything. A couple of the things I really like about him, too, is while not always, if you watch a lot of his tape, he is willing to sometimes stand in there and take a hit. And he's got a nice ball, like the short passes. I notice he has a lot of touch with it. And the guy had some bad luck. I know he's 26 years old. I know that he was in college for 7 years. But when you really go back and that's a nice throw there. And you really go back and you look at it, he was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon for 2 years. So he's not going to play. You're behind Justin Herbert. Then 2020 comes. He's finally going to get his chance, but it's a COVID year. So he plays like a couple games and nobody in the West Coast played. 2001, he transfers to Texas Tech and he hurts his shoulder. They didn't think he needed surgery. They thought he could get over it, just rehabbing. So he comes back, fast forward to 2022, first game of the year. He lands on that shoulder, hurts that shoulder. Now he needs surgery. Comes back in 23, plays a handful of games and breaks his leg. So he's out pretty much all of 23 and all of 24 for the most part. I'm sorry, 23. Then in 24, this past year, transferred to Louisville, got the starting job. Didn't get hurt. One thing about the injuries, it was all kind of fluke stuff. It wasn't a lot of soft tissue stuff. I mean, just, broken leg. I think the shoulder injury was something with this clavicle, I think. I don't know. So, play it again for y'all. I meant to loop it. Sorry about that. Anyways, my thing with him is I like Olave. I think Olave is really undervalued in the draft. And I think he's got some decent stuff to offer the NFL. I think, he could be a quarterback that if he's ideally a second quarterback when you have a starter, you can count on. Maybe a third quarterback when you have three that are all from that huge pocket later in the draft. He's got some nice stacking options at some good values, I think. One reason that I picked him today is this is one of my last drafts from Friday. And I talk about what are we drafting for right now. All right, well, in this particular draft, I got pushed out at quarterback, but let's really look at it. I don't want to draft Allen, Jackson, Hurts, Daniels right now. I mean, I feel like they're overpriced. It's not that they're great quarterbacks. They are. They're the elite guys. I think Lamar, whose ADP right now is around 26, as we move more into the summer, I could see him falling a little bit closer to, let's say, 30. Allen goes ahead of Lamar. I feel like Allen should maybe go a little bit behind Lamar, in my opinion. Right now, I think Allen's ADP is about 22. I don't want to draft him in the second round. I think eventually him and Jackson will be in the third round. Allen will move more than Jackson will. And later in the summer, I'm going to have a chance to draft those guys. I feel like at a little better price. They're not going to get more expensive. Josh Allen is not pushing up to the first part of the second round. Lamar, I don't believe, will push up further in the third round. So right now, my goal in drafts is I'm trying to load up like I did here. You know, somebody made a comment about this particular draft, and they were like, the comment was something like, you had the one hole and you had to settle for Bryce Young. You named my quarterbacks, Bryce Young, Shough, and Jalen Milroe. I will be the first to admit that that's not ideal. Most of my drafts, Bryce Young is not my first quarterback. But you got to ask yourself, you know, we draft like we're right, of course. We don't know what can happen. And I'm trying to position all of my teams that I draft to where if I'm right about that particular team, I got a chance to be super successful in the playoff weeks when it counts. So again, I will get my fair share of Allen. I'll get my fair share of Jackson. I want Daniels to come down a lot. That's not his ADP. His ADP, I think, is around mid-30s right now. Somebody reached. But all of those guys, I think, will move down a little bit as the summer goes on, and then I'll start doing more teams with them. They're not going to get more expensive, so I'm either going to, later in the summer, draft them where they're at now, or they get cheaper is the way I look at it. This particular draft, that was not the plan. No, it's not ideal to have Young as your number one quarterback. Okay. Fields normally goes closer to 100 in the 90s. Somebody reached for him right here. If you look, I mean, it's not like I don't like doing the Burrow Chase thing right now. I don't really like Burrow's price. This particular draft, I would have had to take him. I would have actually had to take him in the third round if I wanted to get him because someone took him unstacked in round 4. Not going to happen. I'm not taking Burrow in round 4 because especially with a Chase team, I talked about it during the draft, you know, I'm passing on the McBride-Chase combo, but one guy that I'm heavily targeting with Chase right now is Kittle, or if I miss out on Kittle, I'll try to get Hockenson. Because when I'm matched up in the playoffs against teams that do have the Chase and McBride combo, I want a tight end that's capable of hanging with McBride, maybe even outscoring him. Okay. My other receivers then were McMillan, Olave, Shakir. So, you know, it's not like I really had with this particular build a lot of stacking options. I'm not going to do Mayfield unstacked. I'm not going to do Bo Nix unstacked. You know, again, that Fields pick there was a little bit ahead of ADP. I remember as this draft was going on, I was wanting Fields to come back to me here, and I would have took him, but somebody else did. So again, I'm not going to take Kyler unstacked. I'm not going to take Goff unstacked. I had Kittle. Purdy went there. I probably would have took Purdy had he made it to the 8th round to me to pick 96, but he was gone. So as we do these drafts, right, like you got to kind of improvise. You got to kind of put the best team you can together with what the board's giving you. And don't be afraid to take chances. You know, if you leave the draft and you just feel totally good about your team, you probably built your team more to just beat the other 11 guys in your pod and advance. I'm okay. I know all of my teams aren't going to advance. I don't even care how many necessarily advance. I'm not trying to win the little 25, 30 bucks, whatever it is, payout in round 2, but I'm purposely constructing my teams in different ways throughout. As the summer goes on, I'll construct them in different ways, but I'm doing it in a way that always with the playoffs in mind. What are we going to be doing in the playoffs? You know? And so that's why with this particular team, yes, because I didn't have any other good stacked receiving options to stack with said quarterbacks that I passed on, I waited, purposely knew right around this area. Hopefully they didn't get sniped from me before that, which they didn't. I took Bryce Young and Shough. I believe Shough will win the job. If not week 1, pretty early. We already know what Rattler can do. I mean, And I'm kind of high on Shough for where he goes in the draft for his purpose. On this particular team, with Olave, and then later I tacked on Johnson, if I get 4 really good weeks out of Shough that late in the draft, with all this firepower that I was able to get at running back and receiver earlier in the draft, I'll take it. You know, hopefully I'm kind of in on Carolina this year. I think actually having Tet there could open things up more for Leggett. I think he's a good value where he goes in the draft. Since I took Bryce, since I had Tet, I tagged him on. You know, took my favorite pick in the draft, Shifley. And then, yeah, I've already said it enough, so we won't talk about it again. But in the 19th or 20th rounds, I'm going to take Milroe, especially on a build like this. Don't get me wrong. I don't blindly draft Milroe in every draft. You know, I'm loading up on him now because just like I think these guys here, the top quarterbacks will all move down here before too long. I also think a guy like Milroe, once camp gets going, once some, buzz gets out there about him, all it's going to take is a little bit of good coach speak, a couple, timely put out videos by Seattle showing him making nice little throws, and then one where he just rips off a long run in practice. He's not going to be in the 19th and 20th rounds of best ball. He's going to be up. Look at some of these guys at the bottom. Again, like I said Friday night, are we really not wanting to take Jalen Milroe, who could potentially, it's not a guarantee, but could potentially, and I feel will, be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks when our best ball playoffs roll around, over a guy like Aaron Rodgers or the guy who probably he's going to take his spot? I mean, we don't even know if Anthony Richardson is going to make it the whole year. I don't know. I mean, I think before too long, Milroe will start moving up the board because you're going to get good vibes and hype coming from him out of camp. So that's when I will slow down on him. But until then, I will continue to draft him. All right. Let me send out my little draft message real quick, and then we will hop in the draft. If anybody's in here and you want to draft with me, be my guest to hop in 3, 2, 1. We shall hop in. But anyways, you guys let me know what you think of Tyler Shough in the comments. And tell me what you think about this new format. So this is what I'm thinking. I've been doing a lot of thinking this weekend about, wanted to come up with a certain way like that to start each video. So I think at the beginning of all of my streams, I'm going to put together a little, couple minute clip like that. Let it roll in the background. Kind of give my case to why I like the guy and why I'm drafting the guy. If you guys like that, you want me to keep doing it with different players, let me know in the comments. Give me a heck yeah, something like that. And I'll keep doing it. Probably going to keep doing it anyways. But let me know what you think. We are hopping in the DK, trying to win $2 million. If you watch my stream and you're in the draft, let me know. I'll shout your team out as we go. Keep an eye on it. Talk about it with you. We shall see what pick we get. I was going to try to stream Sunday night. I really wanted to, but man, for those that don't know, I live in Texas, Austin area, and it gets hot here. And both of my daughters play select soccer. They had their end of season tournaments, and it was 98 and 100 degrees each of the 2 days. And we had 7 total games. So by the time Sunday evening came around, I was pretty exhausted. I didn't really feel like hopping on and doing the draft. So I just did a little research, called it a night. We are in, and we're rocking with the 4. You guys tell me what you think about those elite quarterbacks. Are y'all drafting them right now on DK? In the Eliminator, if you've been catching any of my Eliminator drafts, when I went over my slow drafts I have going on stream, I have been drafting them totally different. I go after a lot more elite quarterbacks in there because I feel for the eliminator, they are a really good price. Let's see, let's do that about right there. And I've been loading up on running backs because I'll tell you in the eliminator, if you get to about the 6th round and you don't have at least 2 running backs that you can count on, it gets scary, my friend. It gets scary. I recognized Ryan8714. I don't think you watch my streams, but I've been in drafts with you over the years a lot. Be nice if DraftKings didn't make us wait 2 full minutes every time for a draft. I think a minute would be plenty. But that's my thoughts on why I'm drafting the way I am right now. I think that the quarterbacks starting around Kyler on down the list are all really good prices right now for who they are. And I feel like the guys near the top are more expensive than they'll be later. And I don't really see any way that they get more expensive. So worst case, I can draft them at the same price at any point in the summer, or they're going to get cheaper. Another guy I was doing some work on last night, I think for tomorrow's stream, I think my cut up at the beginning and player deep dive will be on Kenneth Walker. I drafted a decent amount of Charbonnet. I think he's one of those backups like we've been talking about who is just severely unpriced. I'm going to go Bijan here. I like me a Bijan start. I got a good amount of Lamb in the 5, 6, 7 so far this year. So we'll go Bijan at 4. Unless the Hurts thing, tush push, really ends up getting banned or something, I almost kind of like Robinson over Barkley this year for some reason. I don't know. Just a feeling I have. Barkley's a good pick. We all saw what he did last year. He could very well do that again. But I just feel like this could be a massive year for Bijan. We are up to, before I started this stream, 35 out of my 50 subscriber goal for May. So thank y'all very much. If you're not a member yet, hit that sub button. I am the nightly DK drafter. We'll be focusing on DraftKings all summer. So if you're more of a DraftKings guy, if that's where you play at over Underdog, nothing wrong with Underdog though, come hang with us. Also, one thing, let me know in the comments, what time would work best for you guys? Anywhere from 9:30, 9:45. I don't want to start later than 10, but I could start them at 10. You know, whatever works best for the majority of my viewers. Maybe I can try to go with that. Right now during the school year and when soccer was going on, sometimes 9:30 is hard for me to make. That's why it kind of has been bouncing around. Sometimes it's 9:30, sometimes it's 9:45. I know there's some other streamers bigger than me who stream sometimes. Their streams are still going on about 9:30. I don't know if maybe I should push it back a little bit. I don't know. Summertime's coming up though. My kids will be out of school, so I won't have as much going on in the evening time. And I'm pretty flexible. So let me know in the comments. 9:30, 9:45, 10. What works best for you? I'll try to take them into account. See, I always like to call it back for you guys as we go this way from the 12 hole. I like that start. Neighbors and Nico. We have the double running backs at 11 with McCaffrey and Taylor. We had a First round, Derrick Henry with Brian Thomas. Ryan went Puka and Achan. I like that start. And we shall see what the 8-hole does. If you missed my stream Friday night, I'm setting a big goal for this summer. We'll see if we get there. With your help, I know we can. My short-term end of May goal was 50 subs. But we're not even to the heart of best ball summer yet. So if we can reach 500 subs by sometime in August, I'm going to do one of the DK $100 drafts live on stream. I'll kind of advertise it in advance so everybody can get a chance to try to make it. It'll be a fun time. They have a really nice payout and a really nice structure. See, like, we don't want to go Allen here. They took the receivers. I'm not super in on Bucky in the second round. I know he's good. I'm going to go Jacobs and go running back to start. And we'll see what happens when it flips back around to me. The reason I'm not totally in on Bucky in the second round is, like, White could just not be a thing and Bucky could get most of the work. And he's a really good pick in the second round. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. I know that's what happened near the end of the season last year. But White can catch passes pretty well still. Now that's interesting. McLaurin and Daniels paired with Chase. I like that. Something different. We will go T. Higgins because we don't have any receivers and we need to start getting some receivers. Started running back. And again, Lamar was out there. Sure, he's an option, but I feel like we can get those guys later this year. If I take Lamar there, then my first receiver is not coming until at the earliest 4th round. I just don't like that build right now. For this time of the year, I'm liking my teams a lot better when I wait on quarterback, load up on skill players early in the draft. I know. All the bye week bros put me on alert. Jacobs and Robinson have the same bye week. It's early in the year, week 5. It's going to be a tough one. We'll try to mix in some later round running backs that we think will at least have a little bit of standalone value and get us some kind of points there in week 5. But if Bijan and Jacobs are killing it most of the year and giving us nice scores the rest of the weeks, we'll live with that. Atlanta has a nice little, I think it's about 24 points is their average that they're expected to get throughout the best ball playoffs points. They play at Tampa, at Arizona, at home against the Rams. 2 domes in a really nice weather in Florida game. Can't argue with that. Packers not so much. They go at Denver, at Chicago, at home to Baltimore. But hey, winter weather in those cities does tend to favor the running backs. So if I'm going to have a Green Bay player, Jacobs might be a good one to have. You guys tell me, are you drafting the elite quarterbacks right now on DraftKings? Or are you kind of more my strategy right now? Start targeting that pocket later in the draft. I'm really curious to know. Because they're clearly going off the board. You guys tell me. We'll see what happens here. Let's see what we're going to go with. Another guy I'm not really in on is Travis Hunter. I really need receivers. And again, I'm high on Carolina this year. I think Ted, if Ted's good, he's going to get all the targets he can handle. If he's not that good, all of our teams that were taking him in the 4th round on are dead anyways. I think he's going to be pretty good. And I think he's going to get all the targets he can handle. I wanted to go receiver there. Y'all know I like Kittle. But since I started running back, I want to make sure I get me some receivers that I like here at this point in the draft. Hawkinson's another guy I can target later. I'm not big on Laporta, but he's out there. We can patch together tight end late if we need B2. I'm going to go Sutton. Now, see, I was debating. ADP 46. We were on 52. Jalen in the 5th round, I can make that work. I almost took him. I was debating between Sutton and Jalen. I didn't take Smith, though. I didn't take Brown. This guy, I'll probably get him there if somebody doesn't take him unstacked. Jalen's a guy that might not be the end of the world if you took him unstacked. You'd like to stack everybody, but you could always throw Goddard on there later, too. It doesn't have to be right then. Yeah, there he goes. Sorry about that. We can move that up for y'all like that. I figured the Brown drafter would grab him. That's a good pick. I like the way that team's going. From the 1 hole, the Chase drafter went McLaurin and then Daniels. Threw on Pickens and Debo. He's got Jaden double stacked with Chase and Pickens. That's a nice little interesting team going. 2 hole went Barkley, then McBride, then Wilson, then Harvey, late 4th, Travis Hunter, early 5th, loading up on the rookies. I took Sutton, and I don't have much Bo Nix. I think I maybe only have 1 Bo Nix team so far this year. So we'll watch him. We're not going to go out of our way to take him ahead of ATP. But we'll definitely watch him. We'll definitely keep an eye on him. Are you guys in on Laporta this year? Let me know. Let me know if you are. I haven't been taking a whole lot of Laporta. I just feel like the tight ends I've been taking the most are either Kittle, skipping over Laporta, and then a couple rounds later, round and a half later, getting Hawkinson. Or if I don't get Kittle and I don't get Hawkinson, generally I try to piece it together with 3 guys later in the draft. I've talked about how I'm not super in on Bowers. Like what he did here with Gibbs and then Bowers, that's how it's been for me the couple times that I've taken Bowers. If Bowers falls more mid-second, I like to take him there because then at least your Bowers teams are paired with somebody different than back here where he normally always goes. With McBride, I don't do it as much because if McBride falls to the 3rd, he's right in here. So, you could still get him with Barkley. I will do it sometimes because then it gives you a 2nd round pick instead of a 3rd round pick with him. Let's see here what we got. What do we have going on? Are you guys in on Judkins? I haven't taken him on DraftKings yet. I have found myself drafting him a couple times in the eliminator when I need a guy who I feel like is going to start out at least playing for sure. I don't really want to go with another running back this early, though, because I have two. I'm going to take Jennings. I'm not so sold that Ayuk is going to be healthy right at the beginning of the year. So I've been taking a fair amount of Jennings. Y'all know I like Kittle. I don't know if Nick Chubb is worse, Mark. How you doing tonight? He doesn't have a team currently. So I haven't been drafting him yet because there's other guys that kind of go later in that draft around him that I like a whole lot better. We'll look at the running backs here in just a second after I make my next pick and see exactly where he's going. Once he signs with somebody, if I like the spot that he signs with, then I will definitely try to grab a few shares of him before he starts pushing up the board too far, just in case he's not washed. All right, let's see here. 76. We're going to try to push Knicks a little more. We don't want to take him ahead of ADP. We may take Hawkinson. I got to go with Olave and maybe, just maybe, the guy on the intro, Tyler Shough, will be on this team. We'll see. Again, I'm not afraid to draft him. Hold on a second. I don't know what happened to my draft. But I can go find it like this. I think it should be this one. No. All right. Bear with me a minute here, guys. There we go. That was weird. Come on, DraftKings. What are we doing? At least it happened right after we made our Olave pick. That was weird. I clicked over to check something for a second, and then it kicked me back to the screen that we were on before we loaded this draft. Guess I could get rid of this other DK one. Maybe that's what confused it. Oh, yeah, we were going to go look at running backs. Let's see. I don't know exactly where. There he is. Yeah, so see, Chubb's right around 200, and you already know I like my guys back there. If it's a little ahead, sometimes I like Wright, Allen when it's not a Breece Hall team. My boy Shipley pretty much is what stops me from drafting Chubb. I mean, we have a young backup who's for sure the backup behind Barkley, who's sitting right there at the same ADP as Chubb. I think Shipley is massively undervalued and underpriced for what his role is on the Philadelphia Eagles, I feel like. So anytime we get close there, I'm not clicking Chubb over Shipley. Not right now. We'll see where he goes. If he signs somewhere that I think, he could come in and lock down at least the goal line role, I'll start throwing him on some teams. If you watch a lot of my late rounds on a lot of my streams on my drafts, I'm really trying to do my best to draft guys who, at worst case, won't be zeros, I feel like. The running backs I've been drafting are guys that generally have backup roles, I feel like, locked up already. And then a guy like Milroe, who he could be a zero. I don't believe that'll be the case. I've made my point on him several times on stream, so I won't get too deep into that. but the upside plays, So far, the way this draft is looking, it could very well end up being a team that is the style of team that we do like to put Milroe on. And if he doesn't get sniped by this guy here, the Mahomes drafter, who just took Mahomes, seems like he knows what he's doing. He's got Worthy. I like his draft so far. I don't think he'll take Nix unstacked. So we can probably get Bo Nix here. And that's what I'm always telling you guys about pushing, We could have taken Bo Nix in the 70s at our last pick. I think it was the 70s. We'll go look real quick. But we could have taken him, right there at 76. But I know that Sutton is his first receiver off the board. And there was a decent chance we could get him to come back to us. And so we took Olave, who is another guy that I'm targeting right now purposely because I feel like he's undervalued. I feel like he should at least be going in here with the Myers and Addison and Jennings and Judy. Well, I guess Judy's in this round. Probably could have pushed Bo Nix one more time, honestly. But it is DraftKings. And we can't always trust our fellow DraftKings drafters to stay away from our quarterbacks. Now, can we? So, that being said, I went ahead and took him there. It was good value. He was past ADP. I don't know what I want to do here yet. I'm not really in on IU. I was thinking about maybe Higgins. I think we'll go get us another running back now. We can't take Warren because we don't want too many week 5 buys. I'm going to go with Gadaboo here. He's a guy that I've been wanting to get a little more of. I think he's decently priced. I could see where it's just by week 5 a timeshare between those two. I mean, Tracy was pretty good last year, but Scatterbo can catch. He's got some hands. As a Longhorns fan, I saw how he played against us. I mean, the guy was everything. It reminded me, it was watching that Texas game in the playoffs against him. It was literally reminded me of like a movie about some sort of, super heroic effort from some, dude in the movie at a high school championship or something like that, or college for that matter. That dude played insane, man. He was everything. He was their receiver. He was their running back. He threw the ball for a touchdown, if I remember right. Yes, he's solid. And so I'd really just started drafting him. I think I've taken him about twice in the last few drafts I've done. But I'm going to start targeting him more now. And, he's a guy that I think worst case, he's their goal line back over Tracy. I need some guys that I think can be on the field at least week 5, ideally. I don't worry too much about bye weeks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a bye week bro. But we do want to get points for week 5 from the running back spot. So I'm going to give me at least one more running back somewhat soon who I think can be on the field week 5. I like Warren, but I saw he was a week 5 buy also, so we passed on him. I don't want another week 5 running back with going Bijan and Jacobs and them being week 5 guys. Start kind of looking it over here, see what we can do. We're going to definitely keep Young as an option since we got Ted. We can make the star of the video, Tyler Shough, an option since we got Olave. I'm not afraid. Here's one thing to my DraftKings drafters who watch a lot of streams. I feel like you got to make sure that you're remembering there is a difference between DraftKings and Underdog. Most of the content that is out there for us to consume from streams and drafts is Underdog, especially with all the big guys, even a lot of the little streamers. It's Underdog. Underdog dominates the scene. They give the creators the, little referral things that they can send out and stuff. So I get it. I feel like quarterbacks are a little more important on Underdog than they are on DraftKings. Let's get through these picks and we'll finish talking about it some. Let's see. I don't have a tight end yet. Another guy that I think the market is just fading a little too much. Check what running backs are out there. You know what? Let's go Njoku. Let's get us a running back. Another guy I want to go ahead and... I guess he already went. Yeah. Anyways, on Underdog, with it being only 18 rounds, 3 quarterback builds, you can do it, but it's less forgiving, right? I mean, you got 2 less picks to work with. I feel like the bonus on DraftKings is another thing that makes quarterback points not as valuable. Yes, they get the bonus points for 300 yards, but we have 2 running back spots, 3 wide receiver spots, and a flex spot, all who can get those bonuses also. Let's see what we want to do here real quick. I'm going to hold off a little bit longer on running backs. We're going to take Mims for a double stack with Knicks. So now we got Knicks doubled. 2 guys that he worked with last year. Move this down a little bit for you guys. So on Underdog, I feel like, yes, going with a elite quarterback early or making sure you get 2 of the, Caleb's, Fields, Murray's, all those guys, CJ, Love. I feel like quarterback points are more valuable on Underdog because of the bonuses on DraftKings. It's a full point PPR, so the receivers and the running backs catching passes are getting more points for that. Quarterback points make up less of your team's total score on on DraftKings than they do on Underdog. So that is why I am not afraid right now at this point in the summer to build. If it turns out all of my teams, it's not, because I do have a couple of Josh Allen teams. I know I have a Hurts team. I want to say I have a Lamar team. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. It might be in the Eliminator. In the Eliminator, I'm taking a fair amount of Lamar. I'm taking some Allen teams. I mean, again, we just talked about it. But I really like the way my teams turn out with, this team in particular is going to have Knicks doubled. Probably going to have one of either Bryce Young or Tyler Shough. And then I'll probably try to throw on Milroe at the end of the draft because I like his upside that he could provide us. Would you take Ingram for the Denver stack if he was available, or did you want Njoku? Ingram would have been an option, but I saw that he went right before that. I don't think that I've drafted Njoku yet, but he's another guy I want to start targeting because like a couple weeks ago, he was going more like pick 100 somewhere in here, and he's kind of moving down the board because people are scared of the quarterback. We don't know which one of the 4 quarterbacks is going to play at what point in the year, and so I think it's kind of pushing him down. Yes, I know that they drafted a rookie there too, But Njoku is still pretty good. And the 1-teens, I think, is a great value on him. Now let's see what's out here at running back. So I think we can wait one more pick for him, and I'll get back to him in a minute, and we'll talk about why. I'm going to go with Kincaid here. A little bit past ADP. Not really ready to take my other quarterback yet. Got a little discount on Kincaid. He's attached to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is really good at football. Buffalo didn't bring in any new receivers or anything. You know, give me a tight end room with Njoku, Kincaid, and I'll probably draft a third one at some point. We can mix and match, and if we get lucky and they ping pong and they hit just right, could end up getting some nice points from our tight end room. I'm going to take another running back here. Another guy that I feel like will be on the field in week 5. It was between two. It was between Bigsby and Eckler. Bigsby just went, so we'll take Eckler. Now that at least gives me 2 running backs who I feel like on their teams will be a part of the game plan, even if in the Giants' case, Tracy, and Washington's case, Robinson, even if both of them are healthy and out there playing, Eckler and Scatterbo by week 5 should have roles. So now we got at least 2 running backs that can give us some points, because we don't want to take zeros there, right? How'd your guys' weekend go? Again, let me know in the comments if you liked how I started this stream out with the little player highlights rolling in the background and kind of go into a little deep dive on him. I think like 98% sure that's what I'm going to do for the time being for the intros to the video. Every night kind of pick, every day kind of pick one guy, put a little quick cut up together like I was rolling in the background. As far as Shough, like we talked about, you know, if you can see it in just those few clips that I showed, like he makes a couple throws where, you know, there was a guy coming right at him, stood in the pocket, made a good throw. I like the fact that he's not afraid to throw it deep. Another guy I wouldn't have minded put it on this team was Shaheed. I was going to probably take him right there, and then I would have went Shough over Bryce Young since he goes even later in the draft. But they beat us to it. No biggie. I've been liking the way my teams have been turning out, though, this way. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right about those quarterbacks dropping. I believe they will here before too long. I don't know. It should have went out. I scheduled it about, I guess it was about 3 o'clock or so today. 3:30 my time that I scheduled it. I'm going to try to settle on a little more consistent time. I'm trying to work out if we want to do 9:30. You know what? I'm going to go with Bryce here. He's the best quarterback on the board ADP-wise. A little discount still for me. On the way back, or not on the way back, at some point we'll look to get Shipley. Wright is another guy I've been drafting some. But since we took Bryce, we're going to try to go with Leggett. So right now we're rocking with a 2-4-6-2. Team is looking like at quarterback we have Nix and Bryce. Running backs was Bijan and Jacobs with Scatterbo and Eckler. so far. We'll have to get us another one before it's all said and done. I don't really like the guys on the board. Potentially, we may end up triple stacking this team with the tight end Sanders. Let's just see how it plays out. But it's a little discount on Leggett, so we'll take him there. We talked about the running backs, our quarterbacks on this team. Higgins, Tet, Sutton, Jennings, Olave, Mims for the double stack with Nix. And now we just took Leggett, who gives us the double stack with Bryce. So it's all about correlation, right? We're drafting teams in May. I'm trying to do a couple things. I'm trying to draft teams that hopefully won't end up having a bunch of zeros. And I'm trying to correlate. I don't worry as much myself about week 17 stuff. If it happens, it happens. And you know, I'll try to get some players here and there, especially another week or so. I'll have them memorized better. I haven't memorized them yet. I know. Shame on me. Shame on me. But, you know, I talked about it the day the schedule came out. I'm almost wondering if we haven't went a little too far. You know, some of the week 17 stacks are going to be super, super chalky. I try to stay away from that. I don't know. I'm going to mix me in some 17 stacks. But for right now, the way I'm building teams is I'm trying to stay away from Browns, Raiders, New England. All of those teams kind of have really tough playoff schedules, best ball playoff schedules. All of those teams' implied point total averages for those 3 weeks are the lowest right now. I'm trying to target guys from Buffalo, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, all the teams that have nicer playoff schedules. You know, the Raiders, I know everybody loves drafting Genty, and I do too sometimes. Everybody loves taking Bowers in the second round. The Raiders in the playoffs have to play the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. Very tough matchup. The Houston Texans in Houston, who should have a really good defense this year. They do get the Giants in week 17. That is definitely their saving grace. Thielen going a round and a half before Leggett is wild to me. It doesn't make any sense. I agree. Like, sure, he may start the year off. Oh, we are on the clock. Let's hop over here and make a pick real quick. Not quite ready to go with him. Like that. Can wait on that. We're going to go Keenan Allen. And I think we might just be done with receiver. We'll see. Receiver room is Higgins, Tet, the Denver guys, Sutton and Mims, Jennings, Olave, Leggett, and we just threw Keenan Allen on there, who I think will sign somewhere and play football somewhere. I like those 8. Some weeks I can maybe get a running back flex because we know Bijan and Jacobs every week other than week 5. Ideally, they should be hitting the lineup. Trying to figure out, too, what I want to do at tight end here. There's a couple late round guys I like. I may just go ahead and triple up Bryce. I know, it's gross, but hey, if Bryce has a couple massive blow-up games, having him tripled might not be that bad. I do not think Carolina's defense is going to be that good. They get to play, let's see, what is it? At New Orleans in 15. They get to play at home against Tampa. They get to play Seattle. Somebody took my Shipley pick, so we're going to have to go with a different running back. I like Lloyd, but I don't want to take Lloyd on this particular team. What round are we in? 17. Don't want to do that yet. Don't want to do that. You know what? I'm going to take the rookie since I have Knicks. I lied. I thought I was staying at 8 receivers, but I didn't really like any of the running backs on the board. We do have Bo Nix. We do have Sutton. We do have Mims on this team. Sean Payton says Bryant is the next Michael Thomas. If he is right, we got him on the squad. You guys like a triple stack Bo Nix and a triple stack Bryce Young with a little bit of, hopefully I get him, late round magic in Milrow for that late season upside. You know, Nix and Young, both of them have later bye weeks too. You know, Nix is of 12, Bryce Young is 14, so we take Milrow on this team. By week 12, I think Seattle will have all that they want of Sam Darnold. I am not a Sam Darnold believer. We talked about it Friday night. Be committed to something and go with it. I am definitely a player take guy. I am a vibes guy. I'm a go get my guy at the right price guy. I'm not afraid to have heavy exposures on people. Now, some of the guys that I'm taking super heavily right now, like Milrow, like Shipley, I anticipate within a couple weeks I will be slowing down on those guys because I think their prices are going to come up a lot. When their prices start coming up, that's when we slow off. That's when we get in the lab and find us some new late round magic picks. Even if he's remotely close to Michael Thomas, that is a good pick. I agree, you know, and we're correlating. We're drafting like we're right because that's what we do. With this particular team, week 5 is going to be tough because we're really going to need Scatterbo and Eckler to give us some solid points at running back. So there's not a lot of other running backs out there who probably even starts. We could really team stack Denver in a little bit and throw McLaughlin on there. You know what? I'm going to go with this Marks guy. I think he'll be the backup to Mixon. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe Houston has a bye week of, I believe, week 6, if I remember right. Yeah. Okay, so maybe Mixon's a little banged up heading into week 5. I don't know who the Texans play week 5, but with them having a bye week 6, maybe they give Mixon a little extra time to heal his ankle because we started the season 4-1 and we're playing a game week 5 that we should win. And Marks could be out there as the lead back. That's how I'm drawing this one up. But worst case, over the whole course of the season, I think Marks is a good pick right there myself. He can catch passes. He's got a little juice. And I do not believe in Dameon Pierce. I haven't really believed in Dameon Pierce in a while. Everybody in front of me has a fair amount of tight ends. And anybody who might want a quarterback, I probably could get Milrow to come back to me. But because I only have Bryce Young and Bo Nix and I really want him on this team, we're going to go ahead and lock him up in the 19th round. Sanders can maybe come back to me at tight end. Most of the teams in between me have a fair amount of tight ends except for this guy in the 6 hole. If you're watching my stream and you want to draft with me, let me know in the stream. Debating if we want to do another one or not. Let me know who you guys' favorite 19th and 20th round picks are. What's yours? I don't know. But right now, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, the guys, especially Milroe, that I'm taking there, give me him over Gainwell, Tutu. I guess Mike Williams could give you a good week or two here. We ended up with 9 receivers and 5 running backs. Most of the time, I try to take 6 running backs on DraftKings. But when we start Bijan and Jacobs, that is definitely the type of team that we want to just cap it at 5. Use the extra bullets somewhere else. Hey, don't knock Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson has some good weeks last year. And he doesn't go this late anyways. He actually goes a little more ahead. Let's go find him. I know they got the rookie there now that everybody's into. Harris. I think that's his name. Trey Harris. There's QJ. QJ was a 12th round pick. And that's about his ADP. I mean, week 18 against Vegas, he went for 34. He had a 25-pointer. He had a 22-pointer. I've taken QJ actually a couple of times this year. Not many, but I have taken him a couple of times. On teams, I like to take a guy like QJ on teams where maybe I did take an elite QB and I got a good tight end. I got a couple good running backs. So I'm really just needing, the Rashid Shaheeds, the QJs of the world, the guys who they might not hit your lineup all the time, but when they do, it's probably going to be a 20-pointer because they had 5 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. It's all about, roster construction, just how you're building. Like I was just talking about. A team like this, where we had, a good stable of receivers earlier who we think we should be able to count on most weeks. Yeah, would it have hurt to have a guy like QJ on there? No. But I think those guys are a lot more valuable on a team where you're a little bit weaker at receiver. And Sanders made it back. So there it is. Call it out for you guys. We have Bo Nix, Bryce Young, and Jalen Milroe as our quarterbacks. Young and Nix are both triple stacked. Running backs, we have Bijan, Jacobs, Scatterbo, Eckler, and Woody Marks was our 5th and final one. Wide receiver room consists of Higgins, Tet, Sutton, Jennings, Olave, Mims, Leggett, Keenan Allen, who will sign somewhere and play football, I believe, still. And the rookie Pat Bryant, who is the next Michael Thomas, according to his coach. Stay tuned to find out. Tight ends was Sanders from Carolina, Kincaid from Buffalo. And we grabbed Njoku because he slid a little bit past ADP, and I think he's still pretty good, and people are kind of more down on them than they should be, I think. He's a decent boomer bust pick. Yeah, exactly. The right team, on the right team. Let's, if you're in here and you want to do another one, I'm about to go hop in another one. We'll do another. I'm kind of right now just doing the millies. There's a single entry $5. There's a little group that I like to send a message out to whenever I'm about to join a draft. Sometimes guys will hop in there. But anyways, there's a $5 single entry that you can get in round 2. It's 2 out of 12, I believe, advanced. So at some point I will hop in that. And I really like the $10 chain movers. They're 5 entry max. Same thing with that one. It was round 15 or round 2, week 15, 2 out of 12 advanced. So it just gives you an extra out. See if I recognize any names in here. Not off the top of my head, but again, like I always say, if you're in the draft room and you find my stream, let me know and I will shout it out to you guys. I will shout your team out as we go. You guys tell me, do you have a plan when you go into drafts? Are you a guy that generally goes in and says, you know, I want to look to build my team this way, whether it be hero running back, zero running back, take 5 receivers through the first 6 rounds, whatever. You know, me, I don't really have a plan. You've seen me now draft teams where I do start 5 receivers in the first 6 rounds. We just started that last draft with 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds. That is what the board gave us. So that is what we took. So while we're waiting on this draft to start, I'm going to tell you guys a little story from this weekend that made me and a bunch of the other dads for one of my daughter soccer teams really pissed off. And this guy is lucky that we didn't know about it until after the fact. So one of my daughters had a guest coach. You know, generally the way the program works is whenever their coach can't be there for some reason, some other, you know, coach, the coaches there are paid. It's select soccer, which made what happened even worse. So this guy who works for the Lone Star Soccer Club shows up, and all we could see as parents is that he was very, very checked out, very, very disinterested. Yes, it's not his real team. The girls, he was just there to coach because somebody, I guess, asked him to or made him do it. And again, it was hot. And this dude literally, the whole game, sat in a chair with his little sun and umbrella, while most of the coaches, you know, are up on the side and, you know, shouting orders and stuff, you know, trying to help the girls better position, all that. Well, again, all we could see as parents was he looked very disinterested, very checked out. We didn't realize how bad it was. The girls after the game, after the fact, told all the parents that, like, not only was he not really coaching, not really telling them any suggestion or, you know, not being helpful as a coach, but like he literally, when he would send somebody in to sub, would be like, go in wherever you want. Apparently, he told one girl who was really little on the team that she needed to grow. Like she could just control that. Another girl who he had taken out of the game and was on the bench, he told her, without her even asking if she could go back in, right? Because, I mean, players don't ask the coach, hey, can I go in? But without even asking her anything, he took it upon himself to tell her that he would put her back in, but she's just not that good at soccer. Yeah, so we were pretty pissed off. I wish I would have known that. I'm just the type of person I am. Probably would have said something. I wouldn't have fought the dude because I don't want to make a scene or anything, and I'm not really like that. But I definitely would have let him have a piece of my mind. I mean, what kind of dude do you have to be? How insecure do you have to be to coach youth soccer, to coach girls? We're talking about 7th and 8th graders, and to talk to them like that. I mean, maybe if it's a boys team, talk a little shit to them. Yeah, okay, whatever. Not personally rude things like that, even though, I don't know. It's been bugging me ever since it happened. Youth sports nowadays is just, it's crazy, man. If you have kids and they play any kind of travel ball or select type ball, let me know in the comments. I'm sure you guys have seen some pretty crazy stuff out there too. Got to see my draft position before I formulate a plan. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I am. See what my draft position is, then see what the board gives me. Yeah, that guy should not be coaching. We definitely put in complaints. I think about every parent emailed the director. And you know, I get it. I get it in the fact that it's not your team. You're just there trying to cover for somebody. But you can at least show a little more interest. I mean, you are getting paid for it after all. Again, these are paid coaches. It's not like a rec program where it's just, you know, a bunch of dads coaching and somebody's just doing it for their friend even or something. I mean, this guy is kind of like his side. I hope it's his side job. I hope it's not his real job because they don't get paid much. I know one of the coaches personally, and I know they don't get paid much. But I don't know. You know, I try to be a good person. I try to teach my kids to be good people. Unfortunately, not everybody in the world is like that. I think we're going to go... Let's switch it up. We're going to go Amon. I've been taking Neighbors over Amon a lot lately. I don't know. I was kind of feeling Amon there for some reason. Again, I'm all vibes based. I do a lot of research. Don't get me wrong. I spend countless hours right here at this desk watching film, reading articles, diving into these things. But when I'm in the draft, I do tend to go with my gut, go with kind of what I'm feeling and thinking right there at that particular time. And I want to know how come every draft that I'm in, Nico goes at the end of the first round. If I'm like at 9 or 10 and I take Neighbors or Brown, I really would like to get Nico in that second round when he falls. Every draft that it seems like I'm at the front part of the board, Nico will fall to the second round. Whenever I'm in the back half of the board, it doesn't happen. We just talked about at one point in the last draft, I'm not that big on Bowers, so I'm kind of glad somebody took Bowers. A guy that I am in on is H.N. And I'm glad I kind of went this way because I know off the top of my head, Neighbors has been one of my favorite picks here, and A-Chain has been one of my favorite picks in that part of the second. And I know I have a couple of teams with Neighbors and A-Chan on them. But now we got a little different combination. I probably do not have a Amon and A-Chan team. So we'll start it off that way. Makes me kind of glad I went with my gut on Brown. Give me a little different combination that I don't have. I'm glad the 10 spot took Bowers because 16 and 17 is where I do start to get a little tempted to take him. But in general, I don't know. And he's a great player. It could come back to haunt me. If he is the guy that you have to have in one of the playoff weeks, then it may definitely hurt me. But that is also why I target guys like Kittle and Hawkinson, because those are two guys that I feel are going later in the draft that are capable of hanging with a McBride or a Bowers, especially on a one-game scenario, especially when we consider if we're just trying to get to week 17. The Raiders, like I said, they got to play Philly in Philly, Houston in Houston, week 15 and 16. Meanwhile, Kittle gets to play at home against Tennessee, at Indy, and then at home against Chicago. And his team is, right now, Vegas has them at about, 25 points average for the playoff weeks, whereas the Raiders is only 19. I don't know. That's what we talked about in the last stream. Let me know. Are you guys stacking up the week 17 like it's the Bible? Like you have to do it? I'm not right now. When I get some week 17 stacks, I get them. We got Detroit, so, if we can get a Minnesota player on this team. See, I don't have them memorized yet. Let me find Miami. Miami plays Tampa. We'll look to do it when we can. But right now, I'm kind of really leaning into that chart I showed you guys the other day. If y'all haven't found it yet or you don't have a good chart, find me on Twitter. Send me a DM. I can shoot it over to you. It's the chart we pulled up on screen the other day where it not only shows the 3 playoff games, but it has them listed from the highest Vegas total for those weeks to the lowest. And here, whichever one doesn't go out of Harrison and Hill, we will take because we like both of them at this spot. And we actually get our pick of the 2. So we're going to go with the correlation of Hill and Achane, because team stacks are our friend in best ball. And I'm not going out of my way for the 17s, but team stacking like we just did on the last draft where we triple stacked both our quarterbacks because they're guys that you can triple stack at a fair price. It's not like I was paying an arm and a leg for all of their weapons. We're definitely still a fan of that. And we'll throw it in there, like since we got a Miami team stack going, if he hangs around a few more picks, we'll take Evans if he doesn't go, but he may go. Or if he goes, our next option, if he's there, would probably be Breece or maybe even Devontae. But I'm assuming since Devontae has a little bit higher ADP, I'm assuming that he'll go. There goes Breece. This guy has 3 receivers, so he may pass on a receiver here. He took Devontae. He's got Daniels. Is he going to take Evans? And he took Evans. Okay, no big deal. We will go. I think I'm going to take Mixon here. We'll have another team where we started with 2 good running backs. If you watched my streams Friday and Thursday or most of last week, the way the teams worked out, we had a lot of, the anchor type teams where we took one running back and then we just tacked on a whole bunch more running backs, hoping they kind of ping-ponged right for us, but not invest highly in the second guy. I guess tonight we're kind of feeling the opposite. I'm in on Mixon, not just because I'm a Texans fan, but because I do think that we'll have a really good defense this year. D'Amico had them playing at a very, very high level, especially late in the year. Stingley was playing like an all-pro. If he's healthy again, we got the same line for the most part. Will's another year more experience. We got Danielle Hunter. We have Petrie coming back off his injury, who's started to play really good in the slot, even in coverage. Not great, but better than what we thought he would. And he brings a physicality to that nickel spot. They like blitzing him. He helps out a lot in the run game. They brought C.J. Gardner-Johnson over to pair at the other safety with the rookie Bullock, who's kind of more of a ball hawk safety. The corner we drafted last year, Kamari, is good. I think our defense is going to be really, really good. So I do envision games this year where the Texans are, in the fourth quarter, they have a lead, trying to grind out the clock. Joe Mixon's always been the type of back that does really well in those types of games because he likes running physical, and he's a strong guy. And when teams are losing by a couple of touchdowns late in the game and you have a guy like Mixon wanting to run physical, guys tend to start missing tackles because they're just ready to go home and making a business decision at that point, as they say. So we'll put him on this team, and we got Amon and Hill. We got Achane and Mixon. We'll see. We'll see how it goes from here. You guys let me know, do you want me to do any of the eliminators live? Right now I'm doing all of my eliminators slow because I am the nighttime DraftKings guy. Come hang out with us every night. We'll be doing live DraftKings drafts Monday through Friday. Again, let me know in the comments if you would prefer me start my streams at 9:30, 9:45, or 10 o'clock Central Time. I'm new, so I'm trying to work out what time I want to aim to be the consistent time over the summer. Right now, I've kind of been bouncing around between the 9:30, 9:45 time. I don't really want to do 10 o'clock until my kids get out of school here in another week because I just got to get up too dang early in the morning right now, to be honest. But once summer's here and my kids can sleep in a little bit, we wouldn't mind starting the stream at 10. We are on the clock here. Let's flip over, and we're going to say that Aaron Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, and we're going to take Metcalf. I like him as a third receiver. And we'll see what the board gives us on the way back. Let's see what everybody else is doing. The 12 hole started Henry, CMC, Rashid, and Brees. 3 running backs and 1 receiver. We'll see what he does here on the turn. The 11 hole started Nico and Brian Thomas. We had a draft start like that the other night. Marvin Harrison and Adams. He just took his first running back, Walker. Stay tuned tomorrow. I think Kenneth Walker may be the player deep dive that we do at the beginning. So, not to spoil it too much, but I was doing a lot of work on him last night since I wasn't streaming. And I went back and I watched some of his 2023 tape. Not tape from last year. He was hurt some last year. The offense in general wasn't that good. But I wanted to watch a lot of his 23 tape, and I was specifically looking for times when the offensive line was kind of blocking it up more like a zone run. All right. I'm not a big Laporta guy, but I'm getting a discount on him here, and we do have Amon. So I think I am going to go Laporta at a discount. I like him better at 60-something than 56, 58 in the other round. And that definitely will open Goff up as a possibility to stack since we now have Amon and Laporta on the team. It only makes sense that we get Goff. But anyways, I was watching some 2023 tape on Walker. I need to go back and put the reel together for the intro to the stream tomorrow. But I saw some things I liked. in that, I saw a fair amount of plays where they were blocking it almost like a zone run play. Kubiak's coming over there. I think that he could be really, really good. His running style and that Kubiak style running. He's a guy that, like, when he does finally hit the hole, sometimes he'll dance around a little too much. It's all going to depend on if he can get away from just, straight wanting to stop and jump cut versus, just gliding with it to the outside, whether it's right or left, picking that hole, putting your foot down and cutting up. But there was 2 or 3 plays in particular that I was watching last night that reminded me a whole lot of Arian Foster in that system back in the day as a Texan. One in particular where the line starts to move right, Walker got the ball, he took like a step or two to the right, but then he saw the hole right up the middle. And I mean, before you know it, he planted his foot and exploded through the middle on a long run. Just like Arian Foster used to do a lot back in the day. So stay tuned. I don't know the time yet. Look for it during the day. I normally post the video. I normally schedule the stream, I should say, around 3:30 or 4 o'clock my time is when I schedule it. So then you'll see if it's going to be at 9:30, 9:45. I guess I can look at my schedule tomorrow real quick and tell you guys. Daughter has a banquet. Tomorrow I think we're going to go for a little later one. Tomorrow I think we're going to go with 9:45. So I have to pick somebody up from somewhere at 9. We want to make sure we can get home and everything and get ready for you guys. We got Laporta, so we don't necessarily need to go with Hawkinson. It's a tough little spot. We don't love anybody here. I'm going to give me a Cooper Kupp share. I'm not big on Kupp this year. We don't know if he'll stay healthy. But I didn't like anybody else on the board, and if he is healthy and he does have something left in the tank, he can definitely be pretty good. Walker runs hard and has legs. I like Charbonnet too, but for me, Walker passes. Yeah, no, Walker is good, and I wasn't really that in on Walker, to be totally honest with you, from the start of this year. Until I really started, I guess it was a few days ago, I always think about best ball. That's what I do all day long. I'm always thinking something. I get on this thought or that thought, and I'm thinking of something, or I'm listening to streams while I'm doing my work and stuff, driving around. I hear somebody say something, and then it gets me to go researching or something. But for some reason the other day, I was like, I need to look and see what I think Walker will look like in this new Kubiak running system. I know the Kubiak system very well as a forever Texan fan. We had Kubiak there, Gary Kubiak there for a lot of years, running the system. We had Arian Foster, who was really good in the system. And I liked what I saw when I was looking at it from that perspective of trying to predict what I thought he would look like. So I'm going to try something because we like to push. Week 6, their bye week is week 8. Bo Nix is ahead of him. Y'all know how I feel about my boy Hawkinson. So I'm going to try to push it. Because if we get sniped on Goff, then so be it, we get sniped on Goff. But ideally, with me having Laporta and Amon, there's a decent chance we can get him to come back around to me. I guess where's the JMO drafter? Yep, the JMO drafter took him. Oh well, it was a chance we were willing to take. I don't think that was a smart move by him. I mean, I guess he has gives, but the only reason I say it is because if that's what you were planning, he has an unstacked Mahomes. Now you've invested a 6th-round pick in an unstacked Mahomes. Yeah, you threw your golf stack on with Jamison Williams and Gibbs. Most of the time, if golf blows up or if golf's having a really good game, decent chance Laporta and Brown's still going to have a good game for me. We have other outs. We can put McCarthy on there with Hawkinson. We can put Tua on there with our Miami stuff. It was a chance this draft I was willing to take. I don't take 2 of these tight ends in this range too often, but I also don't take Laporta that much. I only took Laporta because I already had Amon. And again, I like to push it because there will be drafts where this JMO drafter took a quarterback already there, so he doesn't want to invest another pick in a quarterback. And I could have very well, there will be drafts in that situation where you can get Goff to come to the 105 when you have Laporta and you have Amon and the JMO drafter already has a quarterback. Sometimes it won't, but it doesn't kill my team when it doesn't. But the times that I try something like that and it does, it helps you out a whole lot. One guy, this may be a team that we really try to get Fields on. Fields is a guy I don't mind running unstacked. We also can have Tua as an option. Maybe this is the type of team we'll want an Anthony Richardson on. And McCarthy will be an option too since we have Hawkinson. And don't get me wrong, if you're drafting 10 Millie Maker teams and you had a setup like this where you have Amon and you have Laporta, yes, I think if you're drafting that amount of teams, 10, 15 total Millie Maker teams, probably taking Goff right there is a smart thing to do. I am going to max it, or probably close to it if I don't max it. We'll see how many of the other little ones I end up drafting. It'll just come down to time. And so probably when it's all said and done, I'll have over 150 DraftKings teams. So I'm more willing to push trying to get my stacks at an even better price like that and tack on a guy like Hawkinson in the 8th round. It won't work all the time, but when it does, the teams will be really, really nice. Getting to 105. I may reach a little bit this time because going to the turn, both teams could use a quarterback, and especially with Fields, who I do want to kind of target on this team. He's the type of guy that, oh, never mind, Fields just went before me. So we'll move on to another plan. We don't want another tight end right now. What other quarterbacks are out there? Nobody there that would help us. You know what? I'm going to take Jordan Mason here for 2 reasons. One, Aaron Jones does tend to get hurt sometimes. Even when Aaron Jones is healthy, he's never a always type running back. He's not a workhorse. So Mason, I feel like, should have some standalone value. I think he's pretty good. I liked what he did last year when he was running with San Francisco. I drafted Hawkinson the round before, so that gives us 2 Minnesota players. The more players that we have from the same teams, yada, 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 y'all know the spill. We want to be stacking. So I don't want Dak unstacked. We don't want Purdy unstacked. We don't want Herbert unstacked. We also don't want to reach. We just talked about Kenneth Walker and liking him a lot, so how could we go with Charbonnet? But Charbonnet just went anyways. I kind of like Tootin, but I don't like what they've been talking about. Fumbled apparently the first chance he got with the ball today. I don't think I need to reach there. Let's take Burden. I think they drafted Burden for a reason. I didn't really like anybody with that pick. That gives us a 5th receiver. We got our 3, Amon, Hill, and Metcalf that we can count on. Our 4th receiver, Kupp, if he's healthy and he's still got something left in the tank, he'll be good. But we do need more wide receiver firepower just in general, and in case Kupp isn't or can't stay healthy the whole year. Burden's the type of guy that could give us some very usable weeks. Are you guys in on Burden? Or are you drafting the Bears? There's a lot of weapons there, so I haven't been super high on them. I want to say Moore, in my opinion, is a little pricey. Where's he at over here? He went in the mid-4th today. I guess that's pretty good price on him. I've taken him some. I would rather wait a little bit and take Tet. I think Flowers is undervalued, so I try to target him late 4th, early 5th. I've taken more Burden than I have Moore. I haven't really taken much Rome, and I've stayed away from Loveland because I think he's a little overpriced, and I'm just not so sure he's going to be on the field right away as much as some people think. He had kind of an off-season knee injury that he's been kind of, rehabbing and coming back from. I read some report about at the start of training camp, he might not be, full go, ready for a full workload right away. That kind of stuff is not good. We also might try to get Shaheed on this team. Now, see, like we were just talking about, this is the type of team where I got my Amon, Hill, and Metcalfs, but then because we don't feel super confident with Cooper Kupp as our 4th receiver. Yes, if he's healthy and good, then we'll love it. But if he's not, then we want to have some guys like Burden, or if he's there, Shaheed, who are, your spike week type guys who can come in, produce for us, give us some big weeks here and there. If he goes, we could start looking maybe at like taking a Kirk and trying to backstack CJ that way. Well, it really wouldn't be backstacking, but take Kirk, then take CJ. And I know somewhere down here, there he is. Their other rookie that they drafted, Higgins, is off the board already. He goes before Kirk, which kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. The Nico drafter already has 2 quarterbacks. He just took Kyler and Nix. Kyler because he has Harrison. Not really sure why he took Nix. Guess he just likes him enough to run him unstacked. The 12 hole has some Chargers, some Tennessee. He has Addison. 5 running backs, 5 receivers. Not really sure what he would do. So we could get CJ past ADP. And see if Kirk comes back. Or we can take Kirk first past ADP. The other guy also has outs in McCarthy. I'm going to take Kirk. Because I don't really want to take CJ and then Kirk goes. And then I have CJ stacked with only the second rookie they drafted who, with a healthy receiver room, he doesn't see the field. This guy took Drake May, which makes sense a little bit. At least he has a running back for that team. I thought he might take McCarthy over CJ since he had Addison. The Tua pick kind of surprises me a little bit. If this guy wants a third quarterback, that's hurting his team more than it's helping it to take CJ. This guy shouldn't draft another quarterback right now probably either, especially an unstacked CJ. So we might get CJ. It might work out. We'll see. Nope. He took a third quarterback and he took CJ. No skin off our back. That's why we took whatchamacallit first. We'll just get us another boom bust receiver. We like Shaheed a lot. We talked about at the very beginning of the stream. Tyler Shough was our deep dive. We did not draft him in the last draft. We may have to add him onto this team. If so, we could go get Johnson really late in the draft too as like a 19th round tight end for a third tight end option. You know, we work with what the room gives us. We've done well at receiver now. So, you know, we talked about how we had Brown, Hill, and Metcalf, and we couldn't really feel super comfortable with Kupp because you never know if he's healthy or not or how long he's going to stay healthy. So then we came back and we went Burden, Kirk, and Shaheed. All guys. Well, Burden, I'm kind of in on at ADP. I got him a little bit past ADP. Shaheed, I'm in on for sure. Kirk we took because we were trying to get CJ. I thought there was a decent chance that CJ would still be there, but this guy decided that with his Kyler stack and with his unstacked Bo Nix, that adding a third quarterback by round 12 was the way that he wanted to do his draft. When Tootin is his second running back, he's got really strong wide receivers. I'll say that for him. But I don't know. That's a tough team. That's a lot of quarterback investment when Tootin is your second running back and that's all you have is two running backs. I do think I like the hero and the zero RB strategies, and I use them sometimes. I do think that sometimes people get way, way, way too carried away. Yep, QJ normally goes right around there. I do think people get a little carried away sometimes. And push it a little too far, like in his case. You know, if he takes a running back instead of Bo Nix there and then grabs Tootin, and then even if he got CJ, that would have made a lot more sense. Let's look at who he could have had. Well, he wouldn't probably want Charbonnet because he just had – there isn't really any good running backs in that range, so I guess that's why he went with Nix. But I don't know. It makes it really hard to build a type of roster that can win your pod, which is what you have to do to get there. That's not what we're trying to build these teams for. But in my opinion, you have to balance that line of like trying to make sure that your team is good enough to get first out of your pod. But then if you do make it out of your pod, your team is positioned in a way to really take advantage. Because we keep getting pushed out, though, we're going to go a little ahead of ADP here and take Richardson. I've talked about him before. I'm not positive he'll start the year. I'm not positive he'll be the starter the whole year. I do believe he will start the year off as their quarterback. The Colts would be doing themselves a huge disservice to start Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson when they drafted him where they did a couple years ago. You have to hope that he's worked hard and improved a little bit over the offseason, especially with his short accuracy, which was horrendous. Maybe learn to throw it with a little touch instead of a 103-mile-an-hour fastball on a 10-yard out. or a little check down to a running back that's 93 miles an hour and he's 8 yards away. Maybe he improved on that. We'll see, right? But you got to start him at the beginning of the year. And then if you have to, you can go to Daniel Jones at any point because you're essentially throwing the white flag in. If you go with Daniel Jones as your quarterback, as the Indianapolis Colts, you are saying that we were wrong about Richardson, which means probably some people are getting fired. So guys whose job are on the line are going to give Anthony Richardson every chance in the world to be the quarterback, because if they bench him for Daniel Jones, at that point they will just be hoping and praying. I'm not going to take Tyler Shough here. I want him on this team just because I have A-Rich. If we get, just because I have Shaheed. Sorry about that. We just drafted A-Rich before that. That's why it was on my mind. If we have to get real dirty, one reason why I was not afraid to push some of the stuff earlier is because I knew old grandpa was sitting at the back of the draft, and we did take Metcalf, and I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to play and he's going to be a Steeler before it's all said and done with. And when he does, let's go with Benson here. I like Benson. Benson's one of those running backs that, he's going in the 150s. I just took him at 160. He's on a pretty decent offense. I like Arizona as an offense. Their defense isn't great, so they're going to have to get pushed a little bit, I think. They have a decent little playoff schedule. They play Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, we'll see what the weather's like week 17. But that should definitely be a fun game. They play Atlanta in the playoffs in Arizona. They play Houston at Houston, which is in a dome. They're projected to score about 24 points on average through those 3 games, one of the higher totals. So we'll run with him. We'll see what we can't piece together. Where's the Olave drafter at in this room? With any luck, the Olave drafter has a few quarterbacks already. The guy that took Goff has Olave, and he has 3 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Goff, and Lawrence. So I think ideally Shough should be safe to not only come back to me there, but I'll probably try to push him here to the 16th round. Because this guy has 2, this guy has 3, that guy has 3. We'll see. His ADP is the top on the board, but it's still ahead of ADP. So I think we would probably be better off. This is an A-Chan team, so we don't want to go with that. What are we rocking with? So far, we got our 1 quarterback, 4 running backs, 7 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. I'm just going to take maybe a third one really, really late because we went Laporta and Hawkinson, so we feel really good about our tight end firepower. A-Chan and Mixon, 2 running backs, we know what we're getting. We got Mason and Benson, 2 backup running backs that I do like a whole lot. So we're kind of open here. We could take 1 more receiver and be done with it. Somebody just took Tyler Shough unstacked probably. More power to them. We'll just probably have to go with old man Rodgers on this team. Can probably get Shipley on the next one. So could we get lucky? I'm going to do this. I'm going to take Keenan Allen. because he's already one of the guys that I like. It's an eighth receiver. We'll probably be done there at receiver. All of the teams in front of me have 2 or 3 quarterbacks. I can't possibly imagine somebody wanting Aaron Rodgers unstacked. So it's getting a little risky because the only quarterback that we have on our roster is Anthony Richardson. Some drafts don't go the way you plan, right? We tried to push a couple guys. We got sniped on them, but that's okay. Things could still work out. And not all of our drafts are going to be drafts that we walk away from feeling good. But all of our drafts, we're going to try to build in a way so that if things break right, we give ourselves chances and we give ourselves outs. So that being said, I think I changed my mind because I was going to take Shipley here, but they just took him. So even though it's a little reach, I think I am going to go ahead and take Rodgers just because you never really know in a DraftKings room when guys will do something like take Tyler Shough as a second quarterback, completely unstacked. Not the type of quarterback you really want to run with unstacked. Maybe he is going to add on a tight end at the end of the draft. But either way, we went with Rodgers there because I do think he'll sign at Pittsburgh. Don't get me wrong. This is a really, really risky build. And this is not the type of team, again, I said it earlier, that I would build if I was the type of person that was, just if you're only playing 10 or 15 best ball tournaments this year, make sure you have you some better quarterbacks. Make sure you might want to go get your guys a little more. I like it. I like to push stuff. I like to see how much I can get away with pushing because sometimes you can get away with more than what you think. And both times that we pushed it, as far as just getting to the playoffs, where was that golf pick at? Jackson Holmes, there he is. So when we pushed it here, this guy already taken Mahomes unstacked and then turning around and spending an 8th round pick on golf. And then he ended up taking Trevor Lawrence, who, he's got Hunter, so that one makes sense. The golf pick doesn't really make much sense for him. Now you invested 3 quarterbacks between rounds 6 and 11. It's going to make it tough. He could still have a good team. His team could still do some things. I guess it wasn't unstacked. I take that back. He had Jameson Williams on that team. So it does make sense from that aspect. I take it back. But it's still 3 quarterbacks in that range when you could have been getting a running back or receiver. Let's look. So his wide receiver 4 is Olave. Not too bad. Brown is a wide receiver 5. Dobbs is a wide receiver 6. He's got good running backs. It's pretty good, but it could have been better had he gotten another receiver or running back, in my opinion, there. And then he still probably could have got Goff there since I had the other Goff components. Or he could have waited and got Lawrence as a number 2. They build how they like to, though, and more power to them. I'll build how I like. Here in round 19, just because I really want him with this type of build, I'm going to go ahead and take Milroe. My other option was going to be Lloyd or maybe Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford past ADP is in a bad pick. Sure, Judkins is the guy. Tell me what you guys think in Judkins, by the way. So I find myself taking a fair amount of Judkins in the eliminators that I'm doing right now. I don't really know why. It just kind of gets to, especially if you start kind of wide receiver heavy, you get to a point right around the ADP that Judkins goes, and there's like very, very, very few guys left out there on the board who I should have pushed Millwall one more time to the 18th round. I didn't realize we were in 17. I thought we were in 18. My bad. I'm new to this streaming stuff. That's a streamer mistake. I got to talking a little too much. I'll own up to it. That is where I think Milrow will end up, where I took him. I think that he is going to end up anywhere from around 15, 16, starting 17, and I could see him up to 15, depending on how camp news and stuff like that's going. We really need some quarterbacks. We really needed him on this build, so we went ahead and went and got him. That was earlier than I normally take him. Normally, y'all have seen me take him in the 19th round, sometimes in the 20th round. I thought we were in the 18th there, so I went ahead and took him, and I was a little early. But oh well, he's on the team, and hey, you know, once you get to like round 17 or so anyways, I mean, I heard somebody, I forget who it was. You know what? I'm going to take the ADP discount. Jerome Ford isn't a guy that I click a lot. And Judkins probably ends up getting the start a lot. But Ford can catch the ball. And when he does get the ball, he's explosive. And we want to mix it up some. I've taken Marshawn Lloyd a few different times. I do not believe I have drafted Ford yet. And he was past ADP hanging around. So it was a good chance to take it. What's up, Mr. Bindles? I saw you were on earlier tonight. I'm going to go back and watch it tomorrow. I missed it live. I was getting my kiddos in bed and stuff. Bindles is a best ball streamer too. He does a little bit of everything. You had a Dynasty show on the other day with some dude that I enjoyed listening to. I thought y'all got into some really good conversations. Mr. Bindles is out there with it all. He's got some fantasy advice for you. He's got some Dynasty League stuff going on. Deep dive type shows. I enjoy your content, Bindles. Keep it up. This team, we got sniped on a lot of guys if you're just joining. We started with Alman. We had Laporta. We were trying to push Goff right here, but that guy sniped us on him. Then our next attack was CJ and Kirk were falling past ADP. So we grabbed Kirk there, hoping we could flip CJ into round 12. But the guy who had Nico, even though I thought there was a chance it could work because he already had Kyler stacked with Marvin Harrison. He took Bo Nix unstacked. So I thought maybe doesn't want to go with the third quarterback right there. But I was wrong. He did. So it got ugly on us. We had to settle for Anthony Richardson. I made my case earlier why I think the Colts would be dumb to not start him at least right away. We had Metcalf on the team, and we got pushed out at everything else at quarterback. We were going to take Shough, the man that I did a deep dive on at the beginning of this stream here, but he got sniped. So we had to go with Grandpa Rogers. Hopefully he just locks on to Metcalf once he signs with Pittsburgh. We got Metcalf on the team. It made sense. Normally I take Jalen Milrow in the 19th round or the 20th because I just think he has immense playoff upside. And it's ugly at quarterback, but I do see a scenario in which it works out. We might take a third tight end on this team. We want another running back, though. I got Mixon and Achane, so I don't really want Gordon or Marks. You know who we're going to go with? Miles Sanders. Let's continue the gross theme of this draft. So, I don't know. Everybody thinks Javonte Williams sucks and is old, or not old, but sucks and is dust and not good anymore. And if that's the case, then Blue, the rookie that they drafted from Texas, he could not handle a substantial workload in college. So I don't really see how in the NFL he's going to come in and handle a substantial workload. He's going to be a change of pace type back. He's explosive. He's fast. As gross as Miles Sanders is, he could very well end up being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So do we want to go with a 6 running back? We don't like any of them that's on there. So I talked about, sorry about that. Do we want to go Johnson? Yeah, let's go Johnson. I was really in on Johnson last year as Theo Johnson as a 20th round pick. He was always, when I took him, he was always a third tight end last year. And I'm going to say that I was right in that I took him as a third tight end in the 20th round for a good stretch of last year, thinking that, hey, later in the year, he could give you a game or two. And, from a guy you drafted in the 20th round as a third tight end, I would have liked more, but he did have a 14-point week. This year is his second year. Maybe he'll be a little better. This one's coming down to an end. We will go ahead and hop over here and recap the team for y'all. We're going to call this the gross quarterback team. If you thought Fridays was gross when we had to go with the Bryce Young double stack, with the Tyler Shough double stack, with the Milroe for late season option, this one is even scarier. We have Anthony Richardson unstacked because why would you stack him? We want him running. We have Aaron Rodgers, who needs to go ahead and sign with Pittsburgh. And then we took Milroe higher than we normally do, partly because I made a mistake and thought I was in round 18 when I was in 17. But we also just really need his help on this team. Running back, we have Achane and Mixon as our two main guys. We then took Mason, Vincent, Jerome Ford, and we stayed with the gross theme and took Miles Sanders. Wide receiver room, we have Amon St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, which is why we took Grandpa Rogers, Cooper Kupp, Burden, Kirk, Shaheed, Keenan Allen. Oh, I started to talk about it and then I didn't. The Keenan Allen pick, and I said maybe we'll get lucky. I took Keenan in that round because I knew the next round I was going to head and grab Rodgers since we had Metcalf. And Pittsburgh, along with teams like the Jets, is a team that I could realistically see Keenan Allen signing with, especially if Rodgers goes there. They're both veterans. Maybe Rodgers reaches out to him. Probably won't, but I could get lucky. Anyways, tight ends we took early. Normally we don't go 2 tight ends in that range, but we took Laporta since it was an Amon team. And then we took Hawkinson because he was the best value on the board at the time. So then we just waited until the 20th round. It was either going to be another running back or tight end. We didn't like any of the running backs, so we went with Johnson as the third tight end. That's going to be it for tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Tomorrow night, I'll say it'll probably be about 9:45. Tell me some things in the comment. Let me know, one, the time. If I picked a set time to try to make it more consistent, would you guys rather me come on, say, 9:45? 10 o'clock, that's about as late as I want to push it, 10 o'clock Central Time. We could do that. Also, let me know in the comment section if you saw the intro where I did the little deep dive on Tyler Shough. Like I said, I think that's going to kind of be my thing. Stay tuned for tomorrow night. We're going to do a Kenneth Walker deep dive at the beginning. I say deep dive, but it's really just, a little 10-minute talk of the player while I got some highlights of him running in the background. tell you why I'm in on them this year. It's going to be obviously guys that I'm in on that I put at the front of the video. This is JT Best Ball. You can catch me every night almost streaming DraftKings drafts exclusively. I am your DK guy if you're a DK guy. Help me with that goal. We're trying to get to 50 subs by the end of May. If we get to, I said big goals, 500 subs by August sometimes, I'm going to do a $100 DK draft on stream for you guys. So smash that like button, hit that sub button, leave me a comment, let me know what you